Hi everyone, I'm Kurt and I'm the writer-director of Moonrock for Monday.
Hi everybody, I'm Jim Robison. I'm the producer of Moonrock for Monday.
Hi, I'm Ashlyn and I play Monday in Moonrock for Monday.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm George Pullar and I play Tyler in Moonrock for Monday.
What inspired me to create or participate in this film was, I think, that it was something new that we hadn't seen in Australian cinema. It was very uplifting. It's a story of love and friendship and being in the present and healing. And I think that's really important in today's world. So that's what inspired me.
As actors, you're always reading scripts, and I just had a pretty visceral first response to this one. I felt emotional by the end of it, which is always a good sign. But admittedly, above anything, it was the chance to play a great young role. And Tyler was a really interesting, exciting, complicated young man that in a lot of strange ways felt quite relatable and had a wound in him that felt universal to a lot of young men. And I thought this would be a lot of fun. And there's a beautiful, tender relationship there with Monday, which I was excited to sort of explore. I'm an older brother and I felt like there was a nice brotherly, sisterly kind of relationship. It was unique and original and exciting.
What inspired me to participate in this film was the storyline, definitely. And I really had a connection towards Monday. And I loved all the quirky characters that Monday and Tyler met along the way and the adventures they went on. And it's a really heartfelt script and yeah.
So what inspired me to be part of Moonrock for Monday was, I guess, it's a really personal story for me. It's about overcoming some of your own problems. For me, I had problems with my eyesight and I believed that the ocean would heal it. So it was like my journey on fixing up my eyesight, and I kind of felt that's what I wanted to come out in the script. But it's so funny talking about the script because Ash and George just made it their own script. They took my words and they just made it theirs. I really asked them to kind of improv and add to the script, and they really deserve a writing credit for this film.
The challenges that we faced creating and making Moonrock for Monday were we were putting out fires every day, as most producers and filmmakers do. Logistically, it was hard because we shot across 3 states and there was well over 70 locations. We did everything you're not supposed to do for a first feature film. We had planes, trains, automobiles, we had pets, we had a first time wonderful actor. I think Ash was like 10 or 11 when we first cast her, but had never been on a film set, so we had the 8-hour call time restrictions, but we had really make it extra challenging for us. We decided to set it in the year 1999. So we made a period film and we did all that on a micro budget. So just about every challenge we kind of thought we're suckers for punishment and we're up for the challenge.
In an acting view, the challenges I probably went through was it was my first feature film and I had schooling to do, which was a big learning curve. Cooper Petey was hot, but I loved going to places and not doing green screen. We did no green screen, but sometimes it could be hard because it might be raining one day when it needed to be sunny. I was the only kid on set, but I became friends with everyone. It wasn't many things that were challenging, but yeah, there were probably a couple of things.
I think the biggest personal challenge I faced as an actor was believably portraying someone that was homeless and from a really underprivileged life. And you know, so much of film is a visual medium, and I was well aware of the fact that before I begun rehearsing this film, I did not look like the character that I envisioned when I read the script. And so there was I think for the first time ever in my acting work, there was an opportunity or really a necessity to change myself physically, and I shaved my head and I stopped going to the gym and lost quite a bit of weight, and that was a big challenge for me. It was being able to convince myself that I could be this guy and be this guy authentically, because if I couldn't believe it, then the audience would have no hope of believing it. And it did start for me with something visually. It's not superficial. I think it's just a reality of filmmaking is that if you don't look like the guy that you're playing, no matter how good your acting is, people aren't going to buy it. And that was a pretty tricky and scary challenge for me, and I'm really grateful for that challenge. It's changed the way that I view part of the process, and I don't ignore that. You know, the way that I visualize a character when I first read the script is something that I hold precious now, and try and maintain that as much as I can in conversations with the director and costume and makeup and all those sorts of departments. So that was, for me, was the greatest challenge, was the physical transformation, I think.
I just want to expand on what George said, because he was saying that he didn't really look like the role in a way, and he didn't. I remember I looked at him, I thought, there's no way this guy can play Tyler, like he's Adonis, he's beautiful, he's so amazing. And he shaved his head, he lost weight, and he played the role so well, and he really makes the film. And I think one of the reviews I read compared him to Heath Ledger. And I don't know, I think it's like one of the biggest compliments ever, and I think it's really like such a credit to him. I'll just tell you a little story. We were in Coober Pedy, and I think we're about 5 hours away from anything. We bogged 3 cars and a bus, and we had an ice cream truck as well. We had no way of getting the crew home. We had not enough food for dinner. I looked at Jimmy, and he was covered in sweat, covered in flies, and I was really scared. I was really scared about the whole thing because, to be honest, I think we ran out of money a week before. And so we had just had every single problem. But somehow Jimmy managed to wrangle 3 cars out of being bogged. He got the bus working again, and everyone was home. And I don't even think we went overtime. Yeah, it was really amazing work by Jimmy.
Thanks, Kurt. I think we went in overtime, but I'll forgive that one day. We had cars that they hit kangaroos, and so I'd love to say that no animals died in the making of this film, but I'd be lying if I did, because out there it's a common thing that happens when you're driving at night. You know, we had people missing flights, and I think just logistically, I'm just so proud of the team to pull it off. Like what Ash mentioned, the heat in Coober Pedy, we had a 1976 Datsun 180B, but it had no air conditioning. And so George and Ash would have to sit in this sauna of a sweat box of a 47-year-old car for like sometimes up to 8 hours of a day. And I would have the safety set supervisor and the stunts and coordinator coming and shoving ice blocks in their mouth and just trying to keep them to cool down. So yeah, like lots of challenges. I really hope that people take away from this film not to judge other people on face value. I think that in particular with George's character, he had a really terrible past that followed him around and caused him to commit some horrible things. And so there's a storyline of atonement there and redemption. And also with Monday's character, you know, while George is running from his past, Monday in contrast has no futures because she's terminally ill. So I hope audiences in these times are inspired to be in the present and not relive our past mistakes or our past failures or project our anxiety onto future worries or concerns or things that may or may not happen.
That's beautifully said, Jim. It's lovely. For me, one of the things that I hope people take away from the film is using it as evidence that both uplifting films are really necessary in Australia, especially now, and secondly, that the Australian landscape can be captured in a way that is beautiful, not only harsh. I would think that I'm not the only one that's sick of seeing really bleak Australian cinema, and it's incredibly well done and well crafted bleak Australian cinema, but we are such a colourful country and so are our landscapes, and I don't know, I feel like this does a great service to showing that and showing the beauty of this country and giving us an ending that is a little bit bittersweet in some senses, but ultimately it's a really uplifting story. And I'd love to see more Australian filmmakers writing really uplifting stories. So I hope that's something that filmmakers take away from this. And I hope that audiences confirm that by continuing to watch it and continuing to support it. Something else that's probably worth sharing about Moonrock, I would say just that there was a lot of people wearing multiple different hats, and I think that's always cool in indie kind of filmmaking. You only really get that experience. You know, Jackie, our safety coordinator, was also a second AD at one point. She also played a cameo in the film. I think that's really cool. I know all the unit guys took on more weight than they typically would have. There was a lot of sharing of different roles, and it's rare that you get that in a filming experience. It's often very much stay in your lane, but it felt truly collaborative. And for me, it felt like a great rite of passage getting to make what felt like a great passion project for these guys.
From watching the film, I hope audience take away just to be in the present and also to enjoy the moments you have in life, just the little things. And something that the viewer should know, like behind the scenes, it was just so amazing traveling around and all the little things we saw and meeting new people. It was really nice. It's like we had our own little family of like a film set. Yeah.
I think taking away from the film, treat people how you'd like to be treated is just a basic kind of lesson. What viewers should know is we almost killed ourselves to make this film, so I hope you like it.
I forgot to mention something that you guys inspired me to bring up. I really hope that viewers take away the incredible talent of the team that we assembled with like the breakout role and first major role for Ashlyn, which she did so well. I hope she gets more gigs. I hope people see what the critics are seeing and what people are seeing of that young Heath Ledger-esque type quality in George, and that he gets just a ton of work just thrown at him to the point where he's having to say no to 99% of the offers that are being made. And same with Kurt. I think, just the script is what brought me in, and my job as a producer is to lift up talent and spot talent and elevate talent. And I hope audiences just fall in love with Kurt's writing and directing and the two performances and chemistry between the two leads in Ash and George, because they really are the thing. The film's not perfect and it's certainly got flaws, but what we had is that human element. We had that, just the passion from these people, and I really hope that Kurt, Ash and George will go on to get a lot more work off the back of this.
What advice would I give to aspiring creators? Go become friends with your bank manager, because you almost have to back yourself. You can't wait for other people. Otherwise, go get really good at Photoshop and you can change around the figures on there and give them to your bank manager. Either way, I think is probably the best one.
The one piece of advice I'd probably give to aspiring actors/creators is probably be yourself, be authentic, don't be afraid to be different. Different is good, and just keep on going, don't give up.
My advice to other creative people on their journey is just probably the best advice that was given to me, which is always try and think for yourself. The beauty of and the challenge of doing what we're doing is there's no real blueprint, there's no clear pathway to success. And that can be both really scary, but it gives you the opportunity to view things with your own eyes and make judgments for yourself. And sometimes you've got to be willing to be wrong, but at least you've decided to make those choices yourself. And I think that's ultimately what puts you on an interesting journey.
My advice to aspiring creators is to surround yourself with incredible people and talented people. Get used to rejection. It took us 4 years from when the script came to the time we were shooting the film. We had, for every 10 no's, it's always 10 steps back, 1 step forward in this game. For all the actors out there, it's part of the process. Filmmaking really is a teamwork, and I don't care if you're a unit assistant or a runner, you give them as much dignity and respect as you would the director or the executive producer, because one day they could be.
It's always helpful to hear this as other actors, but one of the beauties of getting to do this film for me has been an ongoing relationship with Kurt and Jim. And when you're starting out as an actor, the thought of auditioning for the rest of your life is a really tough thing to contemplate, because it can be a really torturous process if it just goes on and facing that constant rejection. But a way to sort of, mitigate that is to build relationships, so you're able to get and build work through not only auditions, but also through relationships that you've built from on other jobs. And for me, just getting to build a relationship with Kurt and Jimmy has given me such a sense of ease and confidence in myself and my career, knowing that this is possible, not only with them, but on other jobs as well. And I think that it's such an important part of the process for an actor to make sure that you're looking to build those relationships when the opportunity is there.
I would probably just say I hope that people can take away something from this film, whether it's you've been to Cooper Pedy, or you have an old-fashioned car, and you're on the run with Tyler, your best friend. I just hope people can take something away.
I have to share this. It goes back to the casting, because once we felt we had the story right, our challenge was to find our Monday, our title role, and our Tyler, and to have that chemistry. Because if that didn't work, the film didn't matter about the production value, or if we had a $10 million budget or a $500,000 budget. It was all about that. And so when we brought Ash in to Maura Fay and had Mary Ann Jade cast, so it got down to 2 actors. And the same with George, we were looking at another actor. And it's thinking outside the box. When Ash did her scene, there's a scene where she has to cry. The thing that happened was we did the first take and she couldn't stop bawling her eyes out. After the take, and we pressed cut, and Kurt and I are thinking, we've done something wrong. And we're looking at Mary Ann going, oh man, we just made a 10-year-old cry, we're bad people. For me, a lot of actors, what they do is when they're told to cry on cue, think, I've got to cry. And it's against what is intuitively a physiological thing. When we cry, we usually are trying to suppress the tears. But with Ash, it was like a fountain of emotion. And I could tell that she'd really read the script. And the other girl she was up against had 70 IMDb credits and had so much more set experience. But we went on a chance with Ash, who had no set experience. but we just had that gut feeling. And same with George. We typecast this kind of like skinny, tough, rough, thinks he's kind of gangster type homeless kid. And then we see George's audition and he looks the exact opposite of what the character we had in mind, but there was this spark and we just went with that gut. And so the casting process for me taught me so much about casting for future films and thinking outside the box when working with talent.
I'm just so thankful that I got to work with these guys in Moonrock for Monday. Like, I know Ash is going to go on to write and direct and do a bunch of things. I just know it. Jimmy's already got a million things on his plate, and I don't know, he needs to learn how to juggle or something because he's got a lot going on. And Georgie's, you know, as I said before, the next Heath Ledger. So, you know, no matter what happens, I feel like we're all connected through this film, and we're kind of the Moonrock for Monday family. And I just feel so blessed about it. I guess that's what I wanted to share.